Actor Robert Blake is best known for his roles in the 1970s TV series Baretta and the 1967 film Cold Blood. His earliest role as a child actor was playing the lead in the final years of MGM's Our Gang short film series. He likewise appeared in 22 installments of the Red Ryder films before serving in the U.S. Army. While professionally speaking, Blake's life has been pretty successful, his personal life has been marred by controversy and scandal. In 2005, Blake was put on trial for the 2001 murder of Bonnie Lee Bakley, whom he had met in 1999 and married in 2000. While Blake was ultimately acquitted of those charges, many still consider him to be Bakley's killer. Join Facts First as we try to get to the bottom of whether or not Robert Blake really killed his second wife. Robert Blake's early life and acting career. Born Michael James Gooby Tosi on September 18, 1933 in Nutley, New Jersey, to parents Giacomo and Elizabeth, Blake got his start in show business performing in a song and dance act with his parents and siblings that was billed as the Three Little Hillbillies. In 1938, Blake and his family relocated to Los Angeles, where he and his siblings started working as movie extras. Blake reportedly had a deeply unhappy childhood. He was apparently abused by his father, a raging alcoholic. After entering public school at age 10, Blake was heavily bullied and frequently got into fights with other students. Eventually, he got himself expelled because of his tendencies towards violence. Later in life, Blake claimed he was sexually and physically abused by both of his parents, who would punish him by forcing him to eat off the floor and by locking him in a closet for hours on end. In 1939, Blake, who was still going by the name Mickey Gobitosi, began his acting career, first appearing in the MGM film Bridal Suite. That same year, he replaced Eugene Porky Lee as the lead in MGM's Our Gang short films. He appeared in 40 of those shorts between 1939 and 44. In 1942, he began going by the name Bobby Blake. After Our Gang was discontinued, he was given the role of a Native American boy named Little Beaver in the Red Ryder series of westerns. Within 3 years, he appeared in 23 of these films. When he was 14, Blake ran away from home. The next few years of his life were extremely difficult, as he lived on the streets as a teenage vagrant. In 1947, at age 17, Blake returned back to Hollywood and played Mahmoud in the adventure film The Black Rose. In 1950, he was drafted into the Army. After leaving the military at age 21, he found that he had few, if any, job prospects and subsequently fell into a deep depression. To cope, he turned to drugs and alcohol to soothe his mind. During a 2-year period in which Blake was addicted to heroin and cocaine, he sold drugs to support his habit. After managing to get clean, he started taking acting classes in the hopes of making something out of his life. He eventually became a polished Hollywood actor who went on to land a number of noteworthy roles. He was first billed as Robert Blake for the first time in 1956. In the next decade, he appeared in several notable films and TV shows, including ABC's Straight Away, NBC's Laramie, The Purple Gang, and The Greatest Story Ever Told. In 1967, he landed his breakout role in the film Cold Blood. He went on to score roles in films like Tell Them Willie Boy Is Here, Electra Glide in Blue, and the 1981 made-for-TV feature of Mice and Men. His most memorable role came in 1975 when he was given the part of Tony Baretta in the Emmy Award-winning TV series Baretta. Blake stuck with that role until the show's cancellation in 1978. After that, there were several years where Blake was given roles in shows that were never greenlit. He continued acting mostly on television. During those years, he was featured in offerings such as the 1983 miniseries Blood Feud and 1993's Judgment Day. He made his final appearance acting in David Lynch's 1997 neo-noir film Lost Highway. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already. And stick around for more about the controversies of Robert Blake. Blake's tumultuous second marriage to Bonnie Lee Bakley. In 1999, 2 years after retiring from acting, Blake met Bonnie Lee Bakley. She'd previously been married 9 times and had a reputation for exploiting older men, celebrities in particular, for money. While dating Blake, Bakley was also seeing Christian Brando, Marlon Brando's son. When she eventually got pregnant, she told both suitors the baby was theirs. At first, Bakley named the child Christian Shannon Brando and insisted Brando was the baby's father. Upon Blake's insistence, she took a paternity test to determine the father of the child. The results showed Blake was the father, and he and Bakley got married November 19, 2000. After tying the knot, the baby girl was renamed Rosie. Bonnie Lee Bakley's murder. On May 4, 2001, Blake took his wife out for dinner at an Italian restaurant called Vitalo's in Studio City, California. After leaving the restaurant, the couple made their way back to their vehicle, which was parked on a side street around the corner behind a dumpster adjacent to a construction site. Blake claims he left Bonnie in the car to retrieve a pistol he had left in the restaurant. He insists that when he came back, he found Bakley fatally shot in the head. Interestingly, the pistol Blake claimed to have left in Vitalo's was later found, and police determined it was not the weapon used in the murder. While his story at first seemed to check out, after a retired Hollywood stuntman, Ronald Duffy Hambleton, agreed to testify against him, police arrested Blake on April 18, 2002, and charged him with Bakley's murder. Earl Caldwell, Blake's longtime bodyguard, was also arrested and slapped with conspiracy charges in connection to the murder. Hambleton claimed that Blake had attempted to hire him to kill Bakley. An additional retired stuntman and friend of Hamilton, Gary McClarty, also came forward to tell a very similar story. On April 22, Blake was charged with one count of murder with special circumstances, a charge that could lead to a death penalty sentence. He was also charged with 2 counts of soliciting a murder and 1 count of conspiracy to commit a murder. He pled not guilty. After spending almost a year in jail, he was let out on a $1.5 million bond on March 13, 2003. He was placed on house arrest while awaiting trial. In a pretrial hearing on October 31st, the judge dismissed the conspiracy charges against Blake and his bodyguard. A juror later told 48 Hours that the prosecution had no forensic evidence to implicate Blake in the murder, nor did they have anything that tied him to the murder weapon. Blake's trial and acquittal. Blake's murder trial commenced December 20, 2004. The prosecution argued that he had intentionally murdered Bakley to escape from a marriage that had grown loveless and all-consuming. The defense contended Blake was innocent and a victim of a very unfortunate circumstance. They further asserted that the evidence brought against him had been fabricated. Hambleton and McClarty both testified that they had been asked by Blake to murder his wife. The defense then brought up Hambleton's criminal history and McClarty's mental health issues. It was also pointed out that gunshot residue had not been found on Blake's hands. On March 16, 2005, Robert Blake was found not guilty of murder and 2 counts of solicitation to commit murder. The remaining count of solicitation to commit murder was dropped. After the verdict, Bakley's 3 children chose to file a civil suit against Blake, claiming he was responsible for her death. During that trial, Earl Caldwell's ex-girlfriend testified that she believed that Blake and Caldwell had worked together to commit the crime. On November 18, 2005, a jury determined Blake to be liable for the wrongful death of Bakley. He was ordered to pay her children $30 million. Several months later, he was forced to file for bankruptcy. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think Robert Blake murdered his second wife, or do you think there's too little evidence to arrive at that conclusion? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to FactsVerse if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.